The Jackson County Courthouse was humming with the usual Monday morning energy. The smell of coffee lingered faintly in the air, and the buzz of quiet conversations filled the hallways. Inside Courtroom 3B, a handful of spectators shuffled in, lawyers arranged their files, and jurors settled into the polished wooden benches. Judge Meredith Caldwell, a veteran of over 30 years on the bench, sat in her high chair with practiced calm. Her eyes scanned the case files once again before banging her gavel lightly to call the courtroom to order. "State versus Gregory Marks. We will proceed," she declared, her voice firm and no nonsense. Gregory Marks, the defendant, shifted uncomfortably in his chair. A man in his mid-30s with tired eyes and the worn look of someone who'd spent more nights awake worrying than sleeping, he glanced around nervously. His public defender, a young attorney named Helen Rivera, whispered words of reassurance. "Let's get this done," the prosecutor said, flipping through his notes. The trial was expected to be straightforward. Petty theft, minor damages, nothing that would rock the community. But just as the bailiff, Stanley Torres, stepped forward to announce the first witness, a strange interruption shattered the order. The large oak doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open slowly, without anyone touching them. Heads turned, startled. A murmur passed through the courtroom. And then a stray dog wandered in. The dog was thin and unkempt, with fur matted from what looked like weeks on the streets. Its colors were a mix of black and tan, but dirt and grime dulled what might once have been a glossy coat. Around its neck was a frayed piece of red rope that looked more like a makeshift collar than a real one. The dog trotted confidently down the aisle, pausing in front of the judge's bench and looking up at Judge Caldwell with steady, intelligent eyes. The judge blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Bailiff, remove the animal immediately." Stanley took a step forward, but the dog barked once. The sound echoed sharply in the courtroom, causing several people to jump. Stanley hesitated, hands raised as if to calm the animal. The dog barked a second time, louder, more insistent. Murmurs spread through the room like wildfire. "Is it yours?" someone asked from the gallery. "No," Stanley said quietly. "I've never seen this dog before." The dog barked a third time, even more commanding. Its tone seemed almost purposeful. Judge Caldwell frowned, clearly irritated now. "Enough! Bailiff, remove that dog. We have a courtroom to run." But Stanley froze. He looked at the dog, then at the judge. His voice lowered, almost a whisper. "Your Honor, I think I know this dog." "What?" The judge's voice was sharper now. Stanley swallowed hard. "About 6 years ago, during the Marquez trial, a dog like this walked into the courtroom. Just like this one. Same size, same look, same rope." The courtroom grew silent. The Marquez trial was infamous in Jackson County, a double homicide case that had gripped the city for months. At the center was Leo Marquez, a man accused of killing 2 business partners over a drug deal gone wrong. During that trial, the mysterious stray dog had appeared. Minutes after the dog arrived, Marquez broke down and confessed on the stand, an event no one could explain. The judge's eyes narrowed. "That dog was taken into custody after the trial, correct?" "Yes, ma'am. Animal control said it was a miracle dog. Some said it was a sign, but the dog disappeared shortly after." Gregory Marks suddenly stood up, voice shaking. "I didn't do it. I swear I didn't." Judge Caldwell's gaze snapped to him. "Sit down, Mr. Marks. This is not the time." But Gregory didn't sit. His eyes never left the dog, which now sat calmly in front of the witness stand, tail wagging slowly. "I know that dog," Gregory said, voice cracking. "It knows." The courtroom was on edge. "Enough," Judge Caldwell said firmly. "I'm calling a recess. Bailiff, get the dog out of here, and maintenance needs to check the HVAC system. This whole thing is distracting." Stanley moved cautiously toward the dog. The animal stood and growled softly, not aggressively, but as if warning someone. Suddenly, the courtroom lights flickered. A cold chill swept through the room. People shivered and pulled their jackets tighter. One juror wrapped her arms around herself. Stanley stopped in his tracks. "It's getting cold." Before anyone could respond, the ceiling above the judge's bench shuddered and a vent cover exploded loose, crashing onto the floor with a loud clang. Dust billowed into the air, and a faint smell of smoke drifted down. "Everyone stay calm," Judge Caldwell shouted as the room buzzed with confusion. The dog darted to the side and sat quietly, eyes never leaving Gregory Marks. "Call maintenance and animal control now," the judge ordered. Stanley nodded and pulled out his radio, but his voice trembled as he spoke. "Maintenance, we have a ventilation emergency in 3B. Suddenly, the large courtroom TV screen flickered on by itself. The image showed grainy black and white footage of a warehouse. Everyone stared in shock. On the screen was Gregory Marks. He was carrying a large duffel bag, looking around nervously. He unzipped the bag, revealing power tools and several taped bundles that looked suspiciously like narcotics. A date flashed in the corner, March 18th, 2022. "This can't be right," murmured the prosecutor. Gregory's face drained of color. "No, that's not me." But the footage showed clearly the same man, handling the bag carefully. Judge Caldwell's voice was cold and sharp. "Mr. Marks, explain this." I didn't know the cameras were on. I didn't mean to," he stammered, panic rising. "Looks like your story is falling." The courtroom emptied slowly, whispers and confused glances following each step. The temperature had finally normalized, and the strange atmosphere that had gripped courtroom 3B was dissipating. But inside the minds of everyone present, a heavy sense of mystery lingered, especially for Judge Caldwell. In the judge's chambers, she sat behind her desk, the weight of the day's events settling like a stone in her chest. She rubbed her temples and glanced at the clock. The strange dog, the flickering lights, the sudden cold. None of it made sense. A knock at the door startled her. "Come in," she said, steadying her voice. Stanley Torres entered, still looking shaken. "Your Honor, we've spoken with animal control. They say no dog matching that description is in their custody." "Of course," Caldwell replied grimly. "I wasn't expecting otherwise." Stanley hesitated, then said quietly, "There's more. Maintenance checked the ventilation. They found no faults, no loose panels, no wiring problems. Nothing to explain the blackout or the temperature drop." The judge sighed. "So what are we dealing with, Stanley? A ghost? A sign?" Stanley looked down. "I don't know. But there's one thing. When I looked into the Marquez trial records, the dog was reported to appear just before Leo Marquez confessed. And the same pattern today. That dog showed up, barked 3 times, then new evidence appeared." Judge Caldwell leaned back, fingers steepled. "The question is why? Why does this dog come to these trials, and what message is it really bringing?" Meanwhile, in the county jail, Gregory Marks sat in a small interrogation room. His hands trembled as Detective Lisa Harper slid a file across the table toward him. "This footage," she said softly. "Where did it come from?" Gregory swallowed hard. "I don't know, I swear. I didn't record it, I didn't leak it, I was just a courier." "Courier for who?" Gregory looked away, eyes darting to the small window where officers passed by. "I don't know their names. I met them through a friend. They said I'd be paid well if I just picked up and dropped off packages. No questions asked." Lisa sighed. "Gregory, this new evidence changes everything. We're going to have to dig deeper." He nodded miserably. "I'll tell you everything I know, but I'm scared. They're dangerous." Back at the courthouse, the news of the dog's appearance and the mysterious evidence spread quickly. Reporters camped outside, speculating wildly. Some called it a miracle dog. Others whispered of supernatural forces. Social media exploded with hashtags like Courtroom Dog and Justice Barker. Inside, Judge Caldwell had made a decision. She would reopen the Marquez case. She summoned the original transcripts and evidence. The dog's presence had preceded Marquez's confession, a fact the court had never fully understood or investigated. As the reopened case approached, Caldwell prepared carefully. She requested the security footage archives and re-examined every detail, looking for clues. One evening, alone in her chambers, she reviewed the old Marquez trial tapes. The dog appeared on the footage at the exact moment Marquez's resolve broke. The judge's brow furrowed. Suddenly, a knock at her door startled her again. This time, it was Helen Rivera, Gregory's lawyer. "Your Honor," Helen said, urgency in her voice, "I've been researching this dog. There's something strange about it. Animal behaviorists say dogs don't usually appear out of nowhere, especially not with such timing, and there are no records of any shelter ever claiming it." Caldwell nodded slowly. "I feel the same. It's like the dog is watching over the truth, helping justice find its way." Helen hesitated, then added, "There's an old legend about a justice hound, a dog that appears when truth is hidden, guiding those who seek it." The judge smiled faintly. "Sounds like folklore, but maybe there's more to it than we know." Days later, as the court reconvened for the reopened Marquez trial, something unusual happened again. Just as Judge Caldwell called the court to order, the oak doors creaked open. The same scruffy dog walked in and took its place quietly near the witness stand. This time, nobody was surprised. The courtroom was silent, tense with anticipation. As witnesses were called, new evidence emerged: documents, witness testimonies, and confessions from associates previously too scared to speak. The truth began to unravel. The dog remained still, watching, its eyes sharp and knowing. By the trial's end, Leo Marquez was convicted, not only for the murders, but also for his role in a widespread criminal network. The same day, Gregory Marks was granted a new trial, with much of the new evidence clearing his name of the more serious charges. He would face lesser charges, but the cloud over him was lifting. Weeks passed. Judge Caldwell sat quietly in her chambers, reflecting. The stray dog had vanished again, as mysteriously as it had appeared. But its legacy remained, a reminder that sometimes justice comes in unexpected forms. Outside the courthouse, a small boy playing with a puppy watched as a thin, black and tan dog with a ragged red rope passed silently by. The dog paused, looked back once, then disappeared into the morning fog. And the city, forever changed by the strange courtroom visitor, knew that sometimes truth is guided by the most unlikely heroes.